I know we always have people sliding in on the call. And so I'm going to get started and just let you guys, let them catch up as we go. So I like to start on time just because we get loaded up with questions. I want to be able to answer them all for you guys as we start. Okay, so anyway, welcome to the Truth Tribe, everyone. Everyone, I love seeing you all, Facebook as well as Zoomers. Remember Zoom? I'm going to ask you guys to keep track and throw questions at me as we go, or hold on to them at the end, and I'll answer them in the Q&A. I want to do a little bit of updates real quick. Those of you who are not on the call or have never been on the call before, I just want to let you know my name is Dawn Thompson and this is the Truth Tribe. So if you're on the right call, that's where you're meant to be. And we are exploring the universe and how it impacts us on the 3D planet. And a couple of PSA moments, or notifications. I am moving the I Deserve It app. Hasn't been working great and I haven't been happy with it. So I'm going to have a new app release in the next probably 2 weeks. And so if you are not registered either on Zoom, either on the I Deserve It daily text, they're all free registrations on my website, ideserveitnow.com. Or if you're not signed into the Facebook Universal Truth Tribe, it's a closed group on Facebook, but I just, log you in. That is where I'm going to upgrade everybody in and getting you guys into signed up and keep you on the updates with what's going on and where to find me and where the community is moving, because my goal, guys, is to grow this community along with the universe, right? How do we get ourselves bigger and more badass and more beautiful? It's because we watch the universe and we ask the universe for signs, just as we did in the ancient times. And they looked in the sky and they used the universe to help them, and we're going back. Okay, but we're just using technology to do it. So that's that. Keep updated, just so you know when I'm sending out stuff, you're going, oh, that's where she's coming from. That's what she's talking about. And last but not least, I do have gift certificates, and I want to let you guys know gift certificates are available if you need gifts for Christmas. They are on my website. Truth and Transformation Coaching is coming in February. It's beginning. If you want to start working with me live, that is an option. And then I have 2 options, Truth Tribe and TNT Coaching. They're starting new, as well as the gift certificates. They're on the website. Just go to shop and hover down, and a drop down says gift certificates. So anyway, people have been asking me about those. That's where they are. Cool. Okay. If you need something outside of it or a different denomination, just send me a private message and I'll get them out for you. Okay. All right. So let's get started. Let's talk about the topics of tonight, which are traumology. Yes, it is my word, but it's a good word because it makes sense when I share with you what it is, and revealing our karma. Our karma is being revealed. It's just most people don't know where to look. Okay. And so my goal is to help you see your karma and how to ask yourself, how do I adapt? How do I shift? How do I change it? So as I always start every call, I want you guys to know I love you all from the depths of my soul. And when I go into meditation and I go on the grid, I want to remind you that you are all perfect. So whatever I bring up, it is perfection in you just getting shared out and learning new concepts to make yourself more of a badass on this planet. That's it. Okay. So as I'm on the grid, I pour love down to you on a daily basis as I'm asking my guides. And my guides this time said, your limitations limit your leadership. Basically, my lighthouse, right, is what they were saying. And so your limitations limit your leadership and or your ascension, which is map of consciousness, ascending to your higher vibration and resonance on the consciousness scale. Okay. So if you don't know your limitations, you can basically be sleepwalking. And who wants that, right? And so you can either be sleepwalking and not realizing that you're not living for free in your free will. You have free will to do what you want to do, right? And free will requires us to wake up. So that's what is happening, is when you know your limitations, you are leading yourself. You're in your leadership role. You're in your power role. You're in that maverick role. And that's where I'm trying to get all of you, is to get in that maverick state. Okay. How do you take back your power? All right. So as I always start, I'm going to start with the planets because they are huge. Okay. So I was mentioning to a few of you who got on early, I'm going to have you guys write down these dates because Most people come back and text me later, what were the dates? So these are the dates: 14th, Monday, the 17th, and the 21st. Okay, so yes, they are big. Yes, this is historic. And yes, this is going to be felt by everyone on this planet. Okay, how? So let's talk about the 14th. The 14th is a solar eclipse, and it is a solar eclipse in Sagittarius. It's the expansion in Sagittarius. Sagittarius rules expansion. Okay, and this expansion of the solar eclipse is going to happen in the sign of Sagittarius. So it's all about expanding and beliefs. I call them doctrines, but you can call them beliefs, which is what people are more comfortable with. Any old beliefs that you have personally and or globally that aren't about freedom and expansion are going to get revealed. Okay, it's just going to come out, and it's going to affect all of you wherever Sagittarius is in your chart. So those of you who are always on this call who do know your charts and do know your information, if you know where Sag is, this will be a little bit more of a punch to you, right? Which is, it's going to affect all of you. So wherever Sag is in your chart, first house, second house, third house, just find it. That's where you're going to experience the solar eclipse. And solar eclipses, if you think of it this way, here's the sun, and then here's the moon that passes by and it covers the sun. So you can't see the sun in between the moon, right? So here's us, and then here's the moon passing by and it blocks the sun. And as it blocks the sun, what happens when it moves? It starts bringing the sun back out and shining a new light, new beginning. So you're going to see a new beginning in that area of your life, wherever Sagittarius sits, which is kind of cool. It's a really amazing place for this Sagittarius lunar solar eclipse to happen. And so that's Monday. Okay, it's a big deal. It's a big energy. 17th, a couple days later, we're going to have, and I'm not going to go into this in depth on this call, but we're going to have what we call those planets that I kept telling you have all been jammed into Capricorn, and they've all been spreading out and moving forward. Here's the sun, and everybody's orbiting around the sun. We have Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. Okay, well, Jupiter and Saturn are moving and moving and moving, and they are both Saturn, which is ruled. Saturn is the ruling planet. Everybody has their planet, right? Capricorn and Saturn go together. Okay, and so these two guys go together. And what happens is Saturn is going to leave its sign of Capricorn on the 29th. It's the last day, and Saturn sits at the 29th degree. Every constellation in the sky, as the moon goes through each 12 zodiac signs, right? There's your 12 zodiacs, and each constellation is comprised of 30 degrees up here in the sky. So 30, then 30, then 30, and everyone goes around the sun with a 30-degree impact. Well, we are going to see Saturn move to 29 degrees, and anytime a planet gets to the last degree of a constellation, it has a frenzy feeling. It has this frenzied effect, like, oh, I got to complete, I got to complete, I've got to complete. If you have any 29 degrees in your own charts, you'll feel it in that part of your life. I have a lot of 29, so I get very excited about stuff. So the point being is this one planet, Saturn, is going to move at 29 degrees, and it's going to hit Capricorn to the last degree. And when it does, it's got this frenzied feeling ruling. Capricorn rules government, it rules order, rules truth, it rules structure, it rules the top. And so when it rules wanting to get to the top, Capricorn is the mountain goat. It's the stubborn goat. It wants to put completion, wants to make the building full and complete with truth. Okay, so anything that isn't at the top, that isn't in alignment with source, God, truth, energy, I want you to be expecting it to get revealed this week or the weeks ahead of it. Okay, so it's starting to open up the veil of the universe. The best way I can describe it is the veil is there, right? And so for a long time, we've had like a blanket separating us and the ethers and the astral planes. And now I shared with you guys, it's this kind of, we can see through the bridal veil now, and you can kind of feel it, and you can, the energy is more intense, and it's going to start impacting us. Capricorn rules career. So somewhere where this Capricorn energy is affecting you, it rules our career, it rules stability, it rules foundation, it rules the subpoena from court. So if the judge says this is the truth, it will stamp it down and say, you need to complete this. So why the frenzy? We have to feel the completion of it. All right. And so because 29, it's called an anuretic degree in astrology, if you're asking those questions. It means that frenzy feeling. So Saturn is in its last degree of that constellation. It's going to reveal truth in order to complete the mission. Wherever that Capricorn energy is for you, you're going to feel the need to complete the mission there. Okay. So find 29 degrees of Capricorn in your chart. If you know astrology, people ask me who do know their astrology, want to know. And this is where you're going to feel like this pull to be honest in an area of your life that you need to move on. Okay, because it's going to leave Capricorn for good. It's going into Aquarius. Now let's move to the 21st. On the 21st, remember these 3 important dates, guys. On the 21st, this is when people have been asking me about that star in the sky and what happens on the 21st. And this has happened in 800 years. Okay, what happens is that star in the sky is part of the wise kings that were in the sky, and they came, and this is all wrapped around the Jesus, birth of Jesus, and the 21st before the 25th, and its whole energy. I'm not going to go into the biblical, historical, ancient timeline of things. What I'm going to bring to you is into the future. What happens is when Jupiter sits on top, it's going to join Capricorn. It's going to join it up there. And they're going to both go sitting on top of each other, move out of 29 degrees and sit into 0 degree of the new sign of Aquarius, the new energy, the new vibration. I've been prepping you guys for this. I have prepped you guys for the coming of Aquarius. Here it is. Okay, here it is. And this is just a small snippet of beginning. Okay, this isn't even, we haven't even touched the iceberg. This is the cool shit that I love. So we're here, and I've been prepping you this since last March when we started these calls. Okay, so here we are. Now this is only the beginning, but I want you guys to know that it's opening the porthole of humanity to ascend into a higher vibration of love. This is why I'm so happy, right? Because this is awesome. Now, don't get me wrong, we still have a shit show going on the planet, and it's going to keep unfolding. But it's going to unfold to a better place because we have to break the systems. I told you, break the institutions so we can rebuild to a more loving humanitarian space. Now, because Jupiter and Capricorn or Saturn are moving into Aquarius, here's the gig. At that 0 degree conjunction, it's going to, when they sit up there and the way they're shining in the sun, it looks like a star in the sky. Like a star is born. A new star is born, a new light comes to be seen. Okay, that's how you're going to interpret this. Jupiter in 0. So let's just talk about Jupiter rules beliefs and doctrines. Okay, so it's Sagittarius. We just had this blow up on the 14th of a solar eclipse in Jupiter, and now are in Sagittarius. And now Jupiter is the planet of Sagittarius going, let's go into Aquarius. So it says, I want to expand beliefs. I want to expand new doctrines. Indoctrination will get expanded out of old, heavy, unnecessary belief systems anymore. And Aquarius rules group consciousness, humanitarian, technology, freedom from rules. Okay, you guys see where this is going? Tell me you see where this is going. It's amazing. Okay, so if you can simply put freedom from old worn out rules, what will you have? Think of it this way. Freedom from old worn out rules, what will you have? A coming together to make a bigger world together, not apart. Okay, and so that's what's going to happen because Aquarius is humanitarian and group consciousness, and Jupiter, as well as freedom, and Jupiter wants a lot of it. All right, so picking sides, this whole picking sides BS that I am not a fan of, it's going to dissolve under the Aquarian energy. Will it be as fast as you all want it? It never is. So just there's my disclaimer. It's never going to happen as fast as y'all want it. It never does. And I hate to break it to you because I wish I could make that happen for you. It just isn't. Okay, so it's going to take a little time throughout the next several years and days and weeks and months, but truth is going to be the new theme. Okay, so now I'm not suggesting, like, again, that the rules are going to end and there will be no rules. We are basically changing the rules to personal responsibility and humanitarian rules. Okay, So if you aren't loving, you will not feel the vibe. If you, it's going to trip your cord in your life if you're not going towards a loving place. Okay. And so angry energy is starting to dissipate at the beginning of this Aquarian shift. And this is simply the big lighthouse. So there's that light, that conjunction on the 21st, that big light in the sky that's shining to remind you to do one thing: turn your light on. Turn your lighthouse on. Turn your amazingness on. Are you shining your gifts, and are you sharing your limitations from the old worn out belief system? Are you holding on to that, or are you going, no, the new me, the brighter me? That is so important. Okay. So Jupiter rules expansion and Capricorn rules order and truth. So what would freedom look like in each of those areas of your personal life? Not just the planet, right? Because it's expanding the planet, yes. But what does it look like in your personal area of your life? So what Aquarian energy is not, let me remind you, what Aquarian energy is not is judgment. They don't care. They're too far out in the future trying to create something bigger and more, communal coming together. But what they do care about, Aquarius, is not division. Aquarius is not hate. Aquarius is not blame. All right, so that is what it is not. What it is I shared that with you, but what it is not blame. And so if any of this energy is in your world, the planetary shift that's coming is going to be awakening of, how do I expand my beliefs to an open mind? You may not like it. It may scare the crap out of you. You may be like, I can't believe this. It's just the way it is, right? So is my old worn out world or school of indoctrinated beliefs that someone taught me way back when, is that holding me back? That's what's going to get triggered in a lot of people's lives right now. So you have had many lifetimes, as I've taught you guys, to work this out. And this new portal is now opening. It has been open for a while, but it's still there. And it's time to erase karma, which is what we're going to discuss tonight, on the actual earth plane, and how it's affecting you from past lives into this life, into your future life. Okay. And so that's how I want you guys to be prepped on these 3 dates. Now, are you going to sit and watch explosions happen on that day? Maybe. And maybe they're going to trickle in to the next 6 months. So, but I just want you to know, you're not getting out of it. We're not getting out of this. This is a huge impact. Okay. So question came in, please address the coming together as one world versus new world order, which sounds scary. Okay. So again, guys, I want you guys to remember that we can look at everything, which is why I'm bringing up trauma and karma tonight. Okay. So we hear about new world and new world order, and then the one world and we're coming together as one. You have a choice basically to look at life from new communal coming together. And when you're living out your truth and you're brighter and lighter and you're doing what you know is right, you've all been programmed on the old world order to follow the rules that they have told you to do, even though they don't make sense. Even though they don't make sense for you. I've told you guys this 100 times. Even though it doesn't make sense, the system of schooling that kids go to, and if they're an artist or an actor or anything that goes against the norm, they don't fit. So why would you do it? But we do it because we're told that's the way. That's the new one world that's coming together. We're breaking the systems and saying, nope, it's time for us to start living our truth. And the more you shine like the big lighthouse in the sky, just reminding you, the more each of you are shining, the more you all shine, the more we are all communal, globally one energy. And one energy is much bigger than dark energy. There is darkness on the planet. There has always been darkness for thousands of years. We are going to break out of this, not tomorrow, but in years to come. Each time we are raising, let's just say a point, then a point, then a point, then a point. And it keeps getting to this higher, more communal, more loving, more unconditionally loving, more neutral, optimistic, forgiving energy. Is it going to take some time? Yes. But if you focus on the scary, you're going to get scary, just like any other aspect of your life right now. So those of you who are very scared, don't focus on what you're afraid of. Now we're going to talk about that. So she's walked us into this really good question. which is how do you not become afraid of what people are telling you? Do I have to take the vaccine? Do I have to wear a mask? Do I have to listen to the rules? They made me stay in my house and I don't ever get to leave. Says who? They are not your boss. This is the new coming together and saying, will you help me? Will you support me? What do you think? This is called waking up. And it's going to scare you and it's going to hurt you and it's going to make you fearful. Why? So you wait, you come down here, that you stayed down here the whole time and you go, oh, wow. Which brings me into the next topic of what I call traumology. Why trauma? Biology. Bring together trauma in your biology, your physical body biology. Okay. I call it traumology. I guess it could be woundology or crisisology, but I call it traumology. Okay. Sounds cooler. So trauma, guys, is the evidence that a painful thing happened. You aren't living in trauma right this moment with me. We're talking about the future and joy, but you will have memory or an evidence of a thought pattern or a memory that tells you it happened. The memory sits like a boulder blocking you from living beyond those limitations in your mind, not in reality right now. It happened, but it's not happening now. Okay. So it's basically blocks that you have set for yourself as a test to pass your master chemistry class, right? It's so you can pass those very difficult things in your life. You've set this up in your chart, in your blueprint, in your master plan, okay? And so it's the limitation you put on your journey so you can see, basically, so you can see heaven on earth once you've you've overcome it, because it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. And some for what I've also noticed in some people is that it may be a small wound, right? For you, or for you, it's huge, right? But for another, in their mind, they're going to dismiss it like, oh, that's not a big deal. That's not a big deal if that happens. And that's not fair for us to judge. New Aquarian energy, right? Helping each other. So it doesn't make it any less painful or limiting to you. It's just your trauma or your emotional crisis. Okay. And so when I work with groups or private clients, the first sessions always consist of self-understanding, always, right? And so minimally, guys, if you understand these two things, nature and nurture, and people ask me all the time, like, is it which one affects us most in how we live out our lives? And the answer is both, right? So nature, it is your character or the personality that you came in to master. You chose this sign, you chose your personality, you chose to be a Gemini, you chose to be a Virgo, you chose to be an Aquarius, you chose to be a Pisces or a Capricorn or a Sag. Whatever you chose that personality for a reason so you could master it, okay? The nurturing, on the opposite, is the two parts of your being, and they come together and make the longitude, latitude lines wrapped around you. That's your map. The nurturing are your parents, the parents that you chose with an extreme amount of character traits that you have, right? So that you have the free will to look at your parents in some way, or whoever raised you or whoever you were around a lot, right? You have the free will to repeat those character traits or reset them. So judging your parents or the souls maybe who are, around you that are intentionally or unintentionally waking you up is on you. It's not on them. So I want you to leave them alone to their own journey. And this is something I'm a really big stickler about in private coaching and training, is that we are like, well, when we do this, it's my parents' fault, or it's my brother's fault, or it's my sister's fault, or it was my whoever raised. Like I sometimes have grandparents raising clients, right? So if I wasn't raised by my grandparents or in an orphanage, or it's not, you chose this. I can see it in your chart. So it's there. Okay. All right. So trauma, I want you to also remember then from that aspect, is also inherited from our parents or caregivers, or it also comes through as a culture in our history. So cultures have trauma memories. Okay. And because energy is emotion in motion, an emotion that we have, it's still in motion. Every time you think of it and move it and push it into a memory, creates an emotion into your body. Okay. But either way, you guys have an option when you think about trauma and energy and emotion from the past, which is scary, right? Of living, loving, and learning yourself, or you can live with your head in the sand. And that's what's happening right now. And blame your parents or every other angry, disappointed, disappointing, guilting, etc. person that shows up in your life outside of you and never rise up to your truth. That's just how simple this is. So it's a thought that keeps returning to an energetic memory, okay? And the thought is a frequency. And thus it takes you back to all I've been teaching you guys about the consciousness map. What frequency are you going to hang out with? I meet a lot of narcissistic behavior in my with clients. This isn't a new thing that's on the planet. It's so that they can break out of the system of what they're coming out of. They had to look within. Narcissists make it all about them. Well, guess what? We have a lot of people who are going, oh, let's just help everybody and be selfless. So there's a little bit of them teaching the new energy of going, make it about you. They're very good at it. So I can look at both sides of all energies and say, they're not terrible. They're teaching a lot of us how to go, I do need to make it about me. I need to learn something from them. I'm not saying narcissistic behavior is a positive trait at all times, but there is a trait there for us to learn, and there's a lot of it going on. So there's a vibration of it pushing all of us to go, all right, are you going to focus on a frequency that's low of fear and anger and I'm looking at the map, hatred and hate and scorn and pride? Or are you going to move out of that narcissistic control and go, I don't have to be a narcissistic to look at me and focus on my needs, right? You're going to have to choose how to rewrite the thought, because trauma is a thought. It's not still there. You're not having the trauma now. It's just a memory, okay? So the body is simply the alarm clock showing you the emotional trauma wanting to be integrated and dropped from your cycle, the cycle of living, all right? And so when it comes to an emotional memory that you choose, you're going to either choose to flip the switch on or off, right? No matter where it's originated from. And some memories may stay on longer until you physically do the work. And when then they're complete, now you guys, you have to know, then that's when you have power. That's when someone accidentally comes along and maybe it turns on your switch accidentally and triggers and pokes you, right? And someone else immediately pokes you and you have the ability to immediately turn the switch back off and go, no, not going to relive that trauma, emotional memory, crisis, whatever. Okay. So on that note, that is what basically our planet is boiling down to at this very moment, our entire planet. Okay. You have either been getting to know yourself through others' limitations that are irritating you, right? And waking you up at some point, or they're gonna wake you up and they keep irritating you and you're just pissed and angry and having too much pride to admit that it's pissing you off. Or you have been awake for some while, and I've watched a lot of you. You've been awake for quite some time, but you've been called a conspiracy theorist or, oh, why would you believe that? But you've woken up and you're looking, okay? Or you're now just looking up and you're going, whoa, what the hell, right? What is happening out there? Everything's crumbling. What is going on? Why is this happening? Great, right? Living your truth and lighting up the planet with your gifts and acknowledging those limitations that you came to turn into gifts. This is now with the planets 14, 17, 21 as they push us forward, non-negotiable. Okay, this is now non-negotiable. You chose to incarnate at this incredible time in history. You will never, ever in your lifetime see this, even your kids. They're going to live through it. But this is insane how beautiful it is. And it's huge and cool and powerful, okay? So as I've taught you guys a lot, that we all repeatedly reminding you that energy is energy, okay? And energy doesn't lie. So the planets aren't lying. They're not making this up, okay? And remember that a thought or a memory of a thought is energy, and an emotion is energy. And emotion sets itself into motion, turning itself into matter, creating a thing. Matter is a thing, okay? And that thing is often an emotion that is creating a painful thing, body, pain, experience, muscle, joint, whatever, emotional pain in your body, okay? And so if you have a painful emotion or a traumatizing experience that you do not want to learn or understand or complete, you're going to have a blocked emotional energy in your cellular DNA structure, right? Cellular matter, biology. That's where we're going with this, okay? So traumology, the trauma and the biology. And so in that cellular structure, if it is not purged, which is why people come to me all the time, and this came up in a recent conversation about someone who's been struggling with cancer and lungs and lung cancer, and it's been going on for 2 years and the doctors can't figure it out. Well, she most likely is not working on the emotional memory aspect of that trauma. And lungs rule emotions. So I'm just bringing this one up because it was something. I'll show you a photo in a second so you guys can see where I'm coming from. But the emotions will sit in different parts of our body. So my answer to everybody is, if you're having a pain in your body or a pain in an emotion, one or the other is going to trigger you to clear it. And I don't mean just clear it, but accept it, understand it. What do you have to need within to make yourself more powerful external? Okay. And so this cellular energy, emotion, if it's not addressed and completed, and it's going to build and build and build to the point when you're starting to get pain that started from that emotional pain that you ignored. Okay. And it can be cleared by simply doing one thing, understanding the emotional cause or the root. So when you pull a weed, you got to pull the root, because if the weed doesn't get pulled, those roots don't get pulled, the weed will grow back. Thus what's happening in a lot of us. Now, if the root is holding you back from expansion, you're likely going to fill it with this Jupiter influence going on this week, in the next couple of weeks, where you need expanding, where you're holding back, where you're being too critical, or where you're being resistant to change or changing your mindset. Okay. So just know whatever's coming up isn't an accident. Okay. It's a good thing. So the planets are asking us to get to the root cause so that we can pull up or release the roots and understand them. You don't have to relive them. And I tell people, pulling on the roots are basically starting over our DNA. It's like basically bringing in this new cellular rebuilding of it's like recoding is taking place in that moment. Okay. And so when we recode, it's like basically asking us to release that emotional root and then understand what its message was for us to complete in this lifetime. And it's kind of cool. So the traumology is your biology, and the emotional memory of the trauma or crisis appearing in your biology. This is your cellular DNA or your emotional DNA wanting to come up. So if you're hurting anywhere, guys, pay attention. Okay. So science refers to emotional DNA, and I think I've brought this up to you guys before, but it's a technical term, so you can go Google this, but it's called epigenetics, the epi gene, the higher gene, the emotional gene. Okay. And so science refers to this emotional traumology, as I call it. The emotional gene is the same as an epigenetic gene, which could be coming through whether it's cultural or historical or generational gene coming through. So you may not have had the trauma, but why do you keep repeating it? Because it could be a generational. Okay. And so your genes are going to carry an emotional trauma think of it this way: emotional trauma, the genes are going to carry with it, and you're going to choose each lifetime, and you might choose like several lifetimes to complete this trauma emotionally or physically, right? And so that it no longer visits you again. And I'm just bringing it up because we're in this cool moment, right? So a friend had recently asked me about karma, and she was saying, well, what is it? And I was like, oh, this is so cool, because it set up this call, which is karma in the planets is shifting us to look at our karma right now, right? So what is karma in the simplistic version is completion, guys. It's completing these hard challenges in our life, hard classes, hard hotspots, as I call them, emotional boulders in our life. Okay. So these contracts that we come in on our charts or our personalities come in and we contract with souls and people to make sure we fulfill this. Any karmic contracts that you came in to learn, like those hard chemistry classes, as I call them, chemistry was hard for me. So again, I had to take it over and over and over again. You're taking relationships over and over again. You're taking health over and over again. You're taking career over and over again. You're taking money over and over again, and you keep struggling. It's here for you to take the class until you master it, right? So these difficult courses that you've taken in school or in life or whatever topic you're having a hard time with, I want you to understand it's going to bring up areas that are coming up the most for you right now. That is karma for you to complete. Okay. So the best description, remember, of karma is incompletion or completion. So how do you know when your karma is complete? Okay. Ready? When irritating people or experiences stop knocking at your door. Okay. It's that simple. So when they stop bothering you, you go, wow, I must have done a good job. I'm over that one, right? They quit bothering you or they quit showing up. All right. And so that's what's really cool is when they stop knocking at your door, you don't end karma. You don't clear karma. It drops you when you complete the class. And some of you are here to master that class, whatever it is. Okay. So you came to work on your limitations and traumas. That's simple. And some traumas, you don't even know where they're coming from. So that's why I'm going to teach you guys how to get to them or understand. But you're not here to relive the trauma. You're not supposed to relive it, past life or this life. Okay. But to override and end this repeating emotional cycle that you've experienced from this trauma or wound or crisis, karma isn't for you to clear it or end it. It's simply vibrational energy on that consciousness scale for you to complete it and learn how to become more of that, more of making money, more of making a bigger career, more of making better relationships, more. Learn it. Okay. So there's a question. It says, so we may see it in ourselves, but what happens when you know it happens in a partner? Will they just have to implode without my intervention, with my support only? Yes. As a matter of fact, you must watch those you love suffer with your loving support. So sorry you're suffering, honey. Now I try to tell people, remind yourself that compassion is the best remedy for this. I believe in you. That's what you say to people you watch struggling. I love you. I would like to have compassion for you. I want to hear what you're going through. And I do believe in you, but I can't fix this for you. Okay. So all I'm trying to share with you guys is you cannot fix your persons, your families, your children's, none of their karma. All you can do is believe in them to override it. And here's some tools. Okay. So I'm going to bring up karma here in a second. Another question came in. So all you can do, again, good question, was you can only support people in their karma. Okay. Next question, what things create karma? Like, i.e., does having children create karma? No, we don't create karma. We have karma, which karma, again, is completion of a class. Okay. And we come in with karma that we've chosen to learn. And thus, again, I'm going to explain to you guys, let's go right into this. These are really good questions. You guys walk me right in. Okay. So next thing is, how do we understand our karma? Okay. What is it? What is our karma? Okay. What is your personal karma? What is my karma? Is totally different than each of your karma. Okay. So how do you know what your karma is to complete? Because that's what people want to know. Well, what is mine? Okay. It's very easy to see if you know your astrology chart, and I'm going to go through that in a second, as well as in life. If you don't know your hotspot boulder chart where the emotional blocks are, I'm going to show you another way. Okay. But if you have it, grab it right now, grab your chart at least to look at, and you can see where your karma sits. Okay. So I'll show you where to look. We're only going to talk about 2 spots of karma tonight because I brought up nurturing. Okay. So if you have your astrology chart, or you know astrology at all, or you know anything about your personal signs, okay, look at your personal astrology chart. And I want you to look for mom and dad energy where they represent on your chart. This is your karma. You picked them to teach you something. Okay. And so where mom and dad sits in your personal chart, mom represented by moon and dad is represented by Saturn in your chart. So mother energy, feminine energy is in the moon, and father, masculine energy is represented in the father energy is in Saturn. So look at the sign that each of those planets sits in your chart. They carry these emotions that downloaded into you, into your DNA, into your epigenetics. Generation after generation after generation is carrying this DNA into you. They're your mom and dad. Okay, and so that epigenetic gene is for you to complete. So this is where I keep telling people, you chose those parents to learn this epigene, this higher energy. Okay, so being frustrated with mom and dad is going to do you a 0 ounce of good in this lifetime, especially because we're in this so super cool karmic planetary universal planetary shift ascension. Okay, so you chose these parents to learn how to be more of a powerful badass. That is what we call free will. Do I want to take on those weak aspects of where they are teaching me to be less or more? And maybe they weren't very good in those areas of your life. That's why they're saying, do you want to do this, or do you take free will and become more? So look at moon and Saturn, father and mother, your personality of your sun sign, you already know your sign, and then look at how it's affecting you. Now, if you don't know your personal zodiac chart, okay, look at the 2 repeating patterns of your parents, 2 from mom and 2 from dad. Write down 2 repeating parents you look at and go, oh, I see my mom doing that. And then look at 2 repeating patterns that you saw from your dad, and you say, which one of those are you repeating that you do not pass the class? Most of us don't want to admit it. I think it's amazing when people are like, I'm nothing like my mother. I'm nothing like my father. You're like, yeah, kind of are. Who cares? They made you beautiful. They brought you into this planet. Now open up and say thank you, because you chose it to learn that karmic journey. Okay, now let's go one more. Let's just say you don't know your parents. I deal with a lot of adopted clients who have been adopted, so they don't know exactly, what they came in with cellular epigenetic DNA. Okay, so we can keep going with this, and here's another simple version to look at it. If you know someone who was adopted or someone who doesn't know their parents, you can go to your own trauma. Okay, if you don't know your parents, see where you're repeating the wound that you felt a crisis in the day of, in a moment of childhood. All you got to do is close your eyes and go, ooh, where did I feel the most hurt? Or where's that day in my memory where, oh, that hurt the most? That is where you're going to have some emotional reminder or memory in some way that you may be avoiding. Okay, and avoiding only keeps it in repetition, not completion. And again, karma is completion. So if you're repeating something and you're not doing something in your life you really want, it's guaranteed to be rooted in that. So what will it take you for you to repeat that trauma and stop affecting your biology? Okay, so write it down. Write down where that crisis moment was in your life. Write down that moment where, that is associated with you, and it's going to be associated with this: fear, guilt, shame, security, safety, sadness, and trust. Those 6 areas are going to come up. And when you feel one of those words come up and go, oh yeah, I have trust issues. Oh yeah, I have sadness issues. Sadness is typically abandonment. Okay. You're afraid people will abandon you. Okay. Safety is a little bit more emotional and financial safety. Security. Safety is not feeling safe to be in environments. Shame, clearly, no, you were ashamed to want what you want. Guilt for having something, and fear is clearly fear. Okay, so where are you not giving back to yourself is what needs to be reintegrated into your soul's contract, and the karma will drop you, period. That's how basic this goes. Okay, so I'll review those in a minute, but we are here in the age of truth. Okay, we are all in this age of truth, and you are not going to run from it. You will not hide from it. The planet is being shaken up with tons of fear, tons of angry energy of fear. This is what she was bringing up early about the new world order, or the new world, or they're trying to scare us with things to make us fearful. Okay, there's going to be a ton of scary moments and things that are going to show up for you, and I guarantee you they're in your chart. This stuff is going to show up to scare the crap out of you. Why are we getting the crap scared out of us? okay? To wake your asses up, to wake all of you up, to get your attention so that you complete the karma, right? And reintegrate it at an entire vibrational grid of love within. And each of you making yourself whole, being more self-centered, being more self-loving, more selfish. Yes, tonight I'm going to ask you all for a little while, for the next couple of months, to be selfish, and not mean selfish, but take care of you. Love you. Be integrating you, putting things into your soul. What do you want, and do it for you? Because programming historically has been more enslaved mentality, enslaved to what you've been told to do. So you don't even realize that you're being, oh, selfish, be selfless, be selfless. It's getting you nowhere. It's getting you sick. Okay. And that's what's showing up. And so to get you guys to wake up, this is where you're going to feel trauma and crisis, or an event in your life that's going to be showing up in your biology. Let me share a picture. Let me share my screen with you guys so you can see this. I will again put this in the Facebook Universal Truth Tribe wall. So if you guys want this, let me know. This is a good example, guys, of what it looks like in your body. Okay, I'm not going to keep this up too long, but here's a good example. These are meridian points I shared with you guys last week. On your feet, on your body, on the teeth, on the meridian lines, in your ears. All these meridian lines hold emotions. And so these meridian points that I showed you last week run through your body, and then they match the emotion that are not completing or creating wounds that have trauma and pain in them. So this person that we are talking about clearly has a lot of grief, sorrow, sadness, and loss in her life, guaranteed, why she's not healing this lung cancer, right? And so emptiness in the heart, lack of love, helplessness, aloneness, disillusionment, embarrassment, shame, humiliation, repressed feelings, disappointment, genetic or ancient memory. So we can carry a lot of it here, which is why a lot of you who are having heart palpitations, heart pain, heartburn, different things like that, cruelty, meanness are showing up, what we're seeing in the world right now. You're feeling it in your heart. Everybody rub your thymus and say, no, I love myself. I will take care of myself. On the energetic level, heart can look, black energy, heavy energy, unresolved emotional pain. I'm just using this one because it came up in a discussion. Your thyroid, your stomach, all kinds of things are coming up, right? So if you want this emotional center, this is also on one of my Instagram posts from a while back in September, but I'll repost this so you guys can get it on the Truth Tribe wall. So if anybody wants to see it, you can see it. Cool. So this is the example I was trying to share with you guys, is that you can either use this chart and you can look at your parents, your astrology chart, or you can go direct to the trauma. However you can locate it. It doesn't matter where it is, right? What is important is if there's physical pain or emotional pain, write it down. And with that, if there's physical or emotional pain, write it down. You're going to see your traumology in your body. If you can't find the emotion, go look at the body part that hurts in the picture, okay? And see if you can associate with that emotion, because that will typically be your karma. Mom, remember, is the feminine code that you're reintegrating, the codes of the universe. And I call them codes because it resonates with certain vibrational codes, which is the numerology and the numbers of the universe, okay? And dad energy is the masculine codes that you're going to reintegrate, and both are needed to balance. You can't have one or the other. You can't be too masculine, you can't be too feminine. You can't be too soft, and you can't be too aggressive. You have to bring it both in and integrate those heavy boulder spots into your chart. So ego, guys, is going to fight to keep your trauma alive, just so you know. Okay. And so instead, I want to ask you guys, are you going to open up and let your inner child be free to dance and sing? That's emotional, feminine, moon, mom sign stuff, because our inner child is where our moon sits. So it's either the child gets to come out and have fun and be lighthearted and dance and sing, or the inner child got programmed from childhood and it says, no, I can't. No, I'm just going to fight it. I'm not going to go out and I'm going to enjoy myself. there's a difference between the programming or the lighthearted child. You have to find the balance between both. So due to that programming right now, these planets are shifting an entire awakening and clearing the collective karma of DNA blueprints. Just not yours individually, only everyone. This is why humanity is experiencing the awakening together. Okay, it's so amazing. We are going through this clearing of cultural, ancestral DNA of clearing. Okay, so why are things making us so angry? Because you are being asked to wake up and look at things you have not been paying attention to. And it's going to be different for all of you, I promise. So judgment is not going to be helpful if you're trying to change someone, i.e. she was bringing up someone in their family, relationship, spouse, whoever. If they're imploding and you don't want, and you want to intervene, you can't. Let them implode, because it's going to be different. And if you're trying to change someone, that's judging that their journey is wrong. And it's not going to be helpful unless you're looking at your own self, judging and looking within and go, what irritates me? Is it something I need to erase and start over and reintegrate within myself? The angrier, the more painful, the greater the awakening. FYI, just so you know, I'm prepping you guys, okay? So this crumbling of every institution, I want you guys to think about the one that you want to keep in old ways for yourself: medicine, technology, government, education, belief systems, religion is even crumbling. I want you to look at what old ways that you're trying to hold on to is going to reveal your level of fear. And if you can let them go and go, what scares me about letting that go? Health, wealth, relationships, career, beliefs, family, your fear of independence. It's where we're getting pushed into, to owning your own life, to being sovereign, to taking care of responsibility, to taking self-love, self-care. This is going to reveal itself so that you guys can become more independent and free. And that's what the age of Aquarius is teaching us: freedom. Okay, this age of Aquarius, guys, is here now. So I'm going to have you guys add on little questions as we go, because I'm going to pull our tips together real quick. So because we're moving into this Aquarian, here's their tips. Pay attention to the explosions of information that are going to come up from the planets, okay? Legal, personal, family, and more regarding beliefs, okay? If you were taught to believe something, you were taught to believe medicine was a certain way, they were going to take care of you, they weren't lying to you, they might be lying to you. You don't know. And it might be okay with you, that's okay. But if it doesn't work out, don't be upset. Go, okay, I'm going to open up to a new belief. How do I take care of myself in a different way? That's it. Sag rules beliefs, okay? So it's going to open you to the view of having old beliefs that are blocking you from self-love. That's it. Not selfless anymore, self-love. It's going to affect you more likely wherever it is that you have too strong of beliefs that you're having a hard time letting go of, okay? Number 2 point, traumology. The traumas will show up the easiest for you to see what you have to heal through the moon and Saturn in your chart. Mom and dad energy, masculine and feminine in your life. I'm watching a lot of women right now that have been working with coaching that are like a little too masculine, right? They got balls in the boardroom and they're ruling the boardroom and they're being a badass out in the world, and then they can't let go and be feminine and gentle, and they're trying to have balls in the bedroom, and that doesn't work. Balance, masculine when you need it, feminine when you need it, both, okay? And if you're off kilter a little bit, that could get you in trouble. All right, 3, if you don't know your chart, again, check mom and dad top 2 weak spots, and then self-reflect on it, because you'll see it. Or ask your spouse or ask someone close to you, do you think I've revealed these traits? And they may go, yeah, you kind of do. Doesn't make it wrong, just means you picked them so you could get better, okay? Point number 4, what scares you is for your awakening. Whatever's scaring you right now is getting you to take your head out of the dirt, out of the sand, and go, ooh, that's something I have to address right now. So if you guys are sleepwalking, this is the time for you to allow the anger to waken you up to your truth. And your truth is totally different than someone else's. You know that. All right. So the question I'm going to leave you guys with is, what karmic limitations are limiting your leadership skills in your life? And I could mean just leading your family, leading your children, leading, she had brought up spouse earlier. Step up and be a leader and lead yourself. She doesn't need to fix her spouse. The spouse will step up and wait their head out of she'll take her head out of the sand when she's ready, or he will take his head out of the sand when he's ready. Okay. So question is, where do you need to pull pull out your sword and move on? They will come there again. Okay. Question of the night for all of you to write down: what karmic limitations in yourself, and you can see them, are limiting your leadership skills in your life? Limitations limiting your leadership skills. And they're parts of us that we don't like to look at, right? So we don't. And so we have to go there, right? And so let me open up a little Q&A here. Does anyone have anything that's coming up karmically that you can say, ooh, I really want to do that? Or do you have your chart and I can tell you where it's getting you? Do you have me for about 5-10 minutes here, 5-8 minutes? Go ahead and throw them out, because I'm totally open to them. What is coming up for all of you when it comes to your karma? Okay. What are you feeling? What are you picking up? What would you wish that you're like, okay, you know what? This is totally scaring the shit out of me. This is scaring the crap out of me. When I talk about that thing and I have the unknown happening and I don't know what to do. Now, again, those of you who do know me know in your chart minimally, you can go look and go, oh, I don't want to do that. My astrologer friend and I today were talking. We astrologers have a hard time, just like you look at your own stuff. That's why we go to, counselors and coaches, and we want them to see what we can't see. And so we were talking about it, and he couldn't see his own moon in Saturn today either. And he was like, oh my gosh. So if I do that, I'd actually feel really so much more confident in myself. I should start doing that. And he didn't even see it. And he's a really good astrologer. And so we don't look at our own stuff because it's hard. And so anything that's scaring you guys right now, I want you to look it straight in the face, because that's ego, afraid to step up and go, I'm afraid to admit that scares the crap out of me. I'm afraid to admit I'm going to be abandoned. I'm afraid to admit I feel like, and these are beliefs, they're not real. I'm afraid to admit that I feel like nobody sees me. I'm afraid to admit that nobody's going to like me. I'm afraid to admit that my spouse might not want me anymore if I tell them the truth of my truth. This is who I am. This is what I want. Well, what if they don't like me? Well, of course, if they love you, then it doesn't matter. It's unconditional. We're moving up the vibrational code of the grid. Okay. And so what I want you guys to walk out of this call tonight is, whatever's scaring you, sit with it. Whatever's scaring you, it's in your chart. Whatever's scaring you is not an accident. But looking for it, I promise you will start seeing solutions appear out of the blue. Random. They just start showing up because you're focused on putting it back into you instead of pushing it away and resisting. And there's the concept that is said, and Eckhart Tolle brings this up: what we resist persists. So if you resist looking at what you don't like, it will continue to show up, and that is karma. All right. So sorry, I get a comment is coming in. Stepping up and listening is hard. Truth talk. She is so 100% true. So the question or comment is, stepping up and listening is hard. Why? Because we don't want to hear where we're weak. Right? We don't want to hear that we hurt someone. You cannot hurt someone if you're speaking your truth. You can just say, look, this is how I feel. There's nothing you can do to change it, but I need to change me. But I would hope that you would step up and change you too. So together we can come together and talk about our truths with each other. And some people don't have that. And so this is where compassion comes in, is a lot of people are freaking out right now. So her comment is so true, is having truth talk with ourselves. That's, again, you guys, truth talk is in the relationship toolbox. So if you don't have it, you can get that on the website as well. That's a really great gift for people as well, as a relationship toolbox on my website. But if you do have the relationship toolbox, truth talk would be a really good one right now. Stand in the mirror and talk the truth about what's really going on. And truth together is always better, she's saying. Yes. I have to be honest with you guys. Like, this is something that my husband and I, even today, we will go, oh my God, isn't this amazing? Like, it's so nice to just be able to tell you the truth and you don't care. And I'm sure last night my husband was laughing at me a lot because I was telling him truths that probably they were very etheric and out there beyond his, I'm sure, realm of comprehension, but it was my truth. And he could take it as my truth, and he didn't have to adapt it. He didn't have to become it. He just let it be. And so what her comment is truth together is always better. And sometimes your truth is not going to be what your husband or your spouse or your wife wants, but it's what they are and what they need to be, and supporting them with compassion and believing in them is all that needs to come out of this. So if you are in a relationship, that's even better. When you can get to truth with each other and it doesn't scare you. Does it take work? Yes. Why? Because you've been programmed from mom and dad, and not mom and dad only, but mom and dad's mom and dad, mom and dad's mom and dad, to generation. I mean, this goes back thousands of years, you guys, that you have DNA that has run through this epigenetic gene. So your genealogy, people do that 23andMe thing or whatever, or I think it's called genealogy or something, where you guys can see it. You can look at the genes run all the way through. Just because you have a visual that you look like someone doesn't mean the epigene isn't there as well. The emotion through a lot of generations and cultures who have been brought down in their traumas, that's coming through right now. It's getting leveled. Why? So we can build a new earth, a new beautiful earth, a new Aquarian earth. And don't get me wrong, Aquarians have that weak spot. So can it be a little bit detached? Yes, you're going to have to learn how to be a little detached. And some people don't like that, because we have to quit looking at other people's stuff and be detached and get into your stuff. Not easy, not always natural, but it's something we're going to start learning to do so we can be more in a humanitarian global perspective. You're going to have to learn to say no to people. That's the detachment aspect of it. Saying no is detaching from the emotion and saying, what is important for me? And no, I don't want that. No, I don't want those things coming. And some people want them, and don't judge them for wanting what they want. I see this coming up a lot on the planet because people are asking me a lot about vaccines. And some people want them, and don't judge them for wanting it. You may know that it's not something you want. I don't want it. My husband and I will not take it. And that's okay. Doesn't make it bad, but there's a good example of something that's coming up scaring people. Either you need it and you're not scared to not have it, and someone's scared of it, whether it's good or bad or not good or bad. We have to stop judging and coming together and go, I believe in you, make your choice. It's your journey, your karma. Okay, not easy. So there's a lot of things coming up. That was just one thing, because a conversation came up and someone was asking me about it, and it just doesn't bother me. Why? Because my head's been out of the sand for a long time on all vaccines. So I'm not a no-vaxxer. I just don't believe in some things for myself. Doesn't make it wrong for you. Okay. Okay. Next question. Easier to live with someone who has a shared same viewpoint. So this person is saying absolutely true. It is very hard when someone doesn't agree with where you're going. But I want to bring up also what's happening here for this person. She has a spouse who doesn't agree with what she thinks, which is good, because she questions sometimes if she is allowed to think what she thinks or believe what she believes for herself. Selfish. She's not very selfish. She struggles with that. She struggles to make it about herself, and she makes it about everyone else. So she has, remember I told you, whatever makes you angry is for you. So I hate to break it to you, but this is for you, so you can own who you are, what you want, and when you need it. I know she's laughing at me right now. So she doesn't have to care if someone doesn't have the same viewpoint. It's very intense for her. It's very making her probably angry or irritated or frustrated or lonely. One of those 6 that came up that I shared with you guys earlier. And she has to go back to that fear-based state of the trauma and go, but wait a minute, am I lonely? Am I unsafe? Do I have someone that doesn't love me? No, they just don't love what I love. And that's okay. Believe me, if you heard what I was sharing with my husband last night, he does not love what I love. So I had to go, okay. And he just laughed. And that's okay. Your spouse may not laugh because they're pushing you to a space of self-worth. So the higher your self-worth, the higher your confidence of what you are, what you want. Guys, tonight's theme is when the trauma comes up, the memory, the emotion, and it's affecting your biology, you know you've got to apply one or the other to be selfish, to take time out to take care of you. It needs to be about you for a while. We've been in a selfless society for so long that we have to start taking care of us, or else I'm not going to have any lighthouses. And I have raised you all to be amazing and bright and powerful. Okay? So I'm sending you all off on your lighthouse journey. You all know how to find me. You all know how to get answers to any other questions. And we will go out this again. Next week is this solar eclipse on Monday when we talk again. So I'll bring up more about that. I want you guys to kind of embrace what's coming up for you. We'll talk about it. I'm going to do a little longer Q&A. So have questions throughout the week written down or ready to go, and I will address them. We're going to do a little bit of a Q&A hotspot, and I'm going to try and bring on some people to actually have conversations so you guys can match up that we're all going through this together, the same traumas, bringing them up and being amazing. Be a lighthouse, be amazing. I love you all. Brightest blessings. Have a great night.